Welcome to this edition of the Banner Press Sports Corner. Thanks for tuning in on your preferred platform. I'm Nicholas Hodell, sports writer here at the Burton Banner Press. And joining me this week in the Sports Corner is Burton boys basketball coach Tim Honeycutt. He's in his second year at the helm of the basketball Panthers, with Burton currently on its best 7-game start of the season, 12 years of 5-2, following a 3-1 tournament week at Roundtop Carbon. I don't think that believes their latest win over Allen Academy. So Burton really rolling second 3-game winning streak of the year for him. And Burton's looking to build off its first 10-win season since the 2015-16 season. But that was a year ago that they did that. But they still have a 7-year playoff drive to try and break this season in a 7-team district rather than a 6-team district the Panthers were in over the last couple of seasons. We're super happy to have Coach Honeycutt in studio this week. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you for having me. We appreciate everything you do for the Washington County sports, and so we enjoy getting to talk to you and getting our kids out there and getting them the recognition that they need.
Yeah, certainly appreciate that as well. And really the story with you is really commencing both in the last couple of years with what you did last year, and already the great story you focused upon this season. So really just to go back to the start of your tenure at the Burton basketball program, just what were some of the things that you really saw at first when you kind of took that job? Because you kind of took the job at a place where it's not really known for basketball success.
No, but when I took the job, I kind of had some conversations with Coach Hody, and we were kind of talking. When you have a school that has such a rich history of athletics, a football program always going 3 and 4 rounds deep, baseball 3 and 4 rounds deep, track athletes, area track, regional track, getting to the state track meet. There's definitely some athleticism there. It's just getting them to believe and buy into a basketball system and a basketball philosophy. And when you don't win a whole lot of games and you begin to win, some kids buy in at a much quicker rate.
Yeah, that certainly was the case a year ago, getting into the 10 wins on the verge of the playoffs. Lost the last game of the regular season to Snook. That would have gotten you guys there. But really, just what were some of the biggest things that you were looking to get out of your guys in year one and try to develop that buy-in mentality?
Basketball has kind of changed over the years where it's became an offensive game. And everybody wants to be the guys that score the points. And I come in with a huge defensive philosophy. I believe if we can hold opponents between 45 and 50 points, we're going to have a chance to win a game. And so we preach the little stuff, the diving on the floors, the rebounding, the sharing the ball. We call it sharing the sugar, making sure everybody gets involved. And that was big for our success last year, and it's big on what we're doing right now.
I think there's one thing kids understand a lot, it's sugar. So yes. You're definitely on the right path with that. When did you start to really begin to see success last year that kind of got you to believe that big improvement was possible?
Well, I think it started at the RTC tournament last year for us, too. We went into a tournament, and before I came in, it was 2 wins over the past 3 years, not a whole lot of success. So when you go into a tournament and you go 2-2 and you match that win total, there kids are like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. Let's buy into what he's doing it. And the wins started stacking up, and then we got to district where we got a little more tougher competition, but we were in ball games, late in games, and we just couldn't get over that hump.
Yeah, and I did see that the first day of really both of these tournaments, between last year's RTC tournament and this year's, and I think there's a good comparison with the two Boiling games, even though scoreline is somewhat similar. This year's Boiling game was even more competitive than last year's was for a lot of that contest. Just from a year-to-year perspective, just how much has your group really grown?
Our kids are maturing, and last year we graduated 4 seniors. One of those seniors played a lot of minutes, and Tyrone Gilman. So we brought back a lot of guys that had a lot of playing experience that know what I want and know what I expect from them. And so in doing that, we're able to go at a faster pace now. I'm not spending day one going through offensive sets and defensive philosophy. They already know what I want. So that is huge for where we are right now.
Yeah, I know Caden Patterson, Eli Simak, two of the big ones for you guys. But really, it's not just those two. It's a whole collective of different guys with Dre Notes and Dimitri Schulte and several others in that mix as well. Just how nice has it been to have so many useful kids in your system and really be able to put them in spots where they can succeed?
Well, it makes my job easy. I don't have to I don't have a problem pulling a kid for a small detail and coaching that kid and correcting that kid. I have confidence in my bench and those guys. It showed last night. Last night we had 9 guys, or we had 9 guys score out of our 10. 7 of those had 8 or more points. And so when you're able to do that, it's hard for defenses and teams to key in on one guy. And so when we're able to do that, it makes the game so much easier.
Yeah, and the game gets out in academy. Caden Patterson was really effectively at 17. Jason Gonzalez for 10, and a couple others at 9. It seems like I would imagine that's exactly what you want, to have so many guys who can score the basketball, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they just take pressure off of each other, and I think that comes back to this group has kind of played together. They play football together, they play basketball, they run track, they do all those other all the other sports together, so that they have a trust in each other, and you can coach, we can X's and O's and all that stuff, but you can't teach them that trust, and that goes far and beyond what I'm capable of teaching them on the court.
Yeah, and of course, to be able to have this size you're having now, you had to establish some side of real good baseline last year. Just how much of that baseline do you think has really transferred over into this year?
Well, I think it's all transferred. The kids know that I believe in them, which is the first step. If they know that they can play the game, and I'm not going to pull them for a simple mistake. So they play hard, they play loose, they play for each other. Am I going to pull them and correct them and fix stuff? Yes, but I'm not going to belittle them and yell at them. Bad shot selection. I've never yelled at a kid for taking a shot that they can't shoot. I'll just tell them I think we can get a better shot. And that philosophy with teams that I've coached in the past, and it's not at Burton, has helped me be a successful coach and building those relationships with those guys.
Yeah, and I know you work with a lot of these kids over multiple seasons as well. With Burton being such a small school, you kind of got your hand in everything at Burton athletics. Just how much do you think that's also helped you out and building those relationships with kids in other sports?
Well, it's been huge. All of our coaches coach multiple sports, and for my assistant coach, Coach Smith, he helps with football, and then I go to baseball with Coach Taylor, who's in football, and our track coaches, they're in football. And so such small school, all these kids, it's easier for them to see a coach that they've been with, they trust, they know our philosophy. It doesn't really change in the boys athletic program from football to basketball to baseball to track. They're all the same philosophy.
Yeah, of course, Burton basketball coach Tim Honeycutt on the boys' side joins us here in the Sports Corner this week. And, of course, over the last couple of years, it's kind of been one big thing outside of basketball, and that's been some football early exits in the postseason. And you guys have gotten some more time to play basketball, I think, because of that. Has that helped a little bit to get some more games under your belt in non-district play?
It has helped. I coach everything, so you never want to see the football team lose. Football's my first love,
right? Kind
of thing. So, but when you get the guys in the gym a little earlier, there is some shown that has been helped us be successful. Last year I had 5 or 6 guys that were basketball only guys. This year I had 2, and so. I think those guys that play football, they're more physical, they're in better shape, they're better athletes, and it has helped them in their mentality game when they come to basketball. So kids that play both, it benefits them on the court too.
Yeah, and there's so many of them. I know with Drayden Oaks and Kaden Patterson I mentioned earlier, and there's probably several others I'm sure I'm missing, are big time in both sports, football and basketball. It's just, how much do you think those guys getting put into some tough spots and some critical situations in football, how much do you think that's also helped them in the basketball for develop the mentality to be able to perform well?
Well, I think it slows the game of basketball down. Football is such a physical pound. You're going to get hit every play. Well, in basketball, you're not going to get hit every play, so you can slow down, you can think a little bit. But I think it just makes us mentally tougher. We can withstand the runs. In our tournament Saturday, Weimer went on a nice 10-0 run to start the second quarter, and we were able to withstand that and come back and win the game. So it just helps us mentally be in the right place to be in the games late.
Yeah, and there were some, and that RTC tournament field was pretty darn different as well. A few different commonalities for sure, but you had some other teams that were there. It's just how nice is it to kind of face some other teams in these tournaments and kind of get away from some of the teams you guys would probably normally play.
Well, when we're looking for tournaments, we're looking for teams that are going to test us, and so we want to play the Bowlings, we want to play the Weimers. We like to get wins, so when you play a lesser opponent, you try to take advantage of those. But we want to be tested because we're in one of the toughest, I think, basketball districts in 2A.
Yeah, and I think one of those other teams most of us like to play is Roundtop Carmi, considering Snook tournament this weekend. It's going to be the third time you face them, which local rivalry is certainly there, so it definitely adds a little bit to that. But I mean, just how much do you value a local opponent like Roundtop Carmi, given you're playing them for the third time coming up here later on?
You appreciate what they do over there, and they're doing things the right way. They're building from the ground up, kind of like we are. And so I know that Coach Marburger over there is going to do things the right way. It's going to be a hard-nosed, competitive game. It's very hard to beat somebody 3 times in one season, so we'll have to be prepared. But yeah, it's nice to play people that you know because that competition comes out.
Yeah, and you got 2 of those wins already on your belt against Roundtop Carmi. Just how much easier is it to kind of measure your team's improvement when you have 2 different games against the same opponent to go back and look at?
You measure it. You want to make sure we're seeing growth in our kids. We want to make sure we're doing the little things. We spent a little time of watching film from last year, but when we left the Snook gym last year, I told the guys that season's over. We want to use that to grow, but we don't want to sit and think on it because you start thinking those thoughts of what if this, what if that, what if that. Well, you got to have the mentality of now's our time. Let's take care of business now.
Yeah, and certainly so far you're just kind of seeing that already happened with 2 separate 3-game winning streaks, including the one you're on right now. Just being able to string these wins together like this, just how much is it kind of what the kids are doing and making sure they're taking care of games they need to be taken care of?
It's huge. When last night I challenged our guys, I said, don't be content with what's happened. You've won a couple of basketball games. Let's extend it where the job is to get better each week. It's not to be better than the team. It's to be the best Burton basketball team that we can put out on the floor that night. And so that mentality has helped us when you have an off night shooting the ball that we can find some other spot in the game to pick up and to improve on.
Yeah, and it seems like you've certainly have done that so far. And I think one of the things you have is just multiple guys who can shoot from deep, whether it's Gonzalez, Drayton, so many other guys who can get the job done. Just how nice is that to have in your back pocket to have multiple different guys who can shoot the 3 very well?
It's nice. I mean, it's when they're consistent, it's tough to guard. We got a lot, our offense we run is a lot of screen and cutting. So we get a lot of wide open looks. And I challenged the guys last year. We got to be able to knock them down. And here lately we have knocked them down. In the games we've lost, we haven't shot well. And a lot of that was early on, but they're getting in their rhythm the more that we shoot the ball in practice and in the gym. That they're finding that groove.
Yeah, how much of a linchpin is that proving to be for this team this year, being able to shoot the ball effectively?
Well, I think it's huge. It opens up. When you can knock down the outside shot, the defense stretches, and it creates driving lanes for guys like KD Patterson and Eli Simaker. It opens up the post for Dimitri or even Drayton slash into the hoop. It opens that up when those guys like Jason and Grayson are knocking down the wide open 3.
Yeah, and really, when you look at this year's team, it's a lot of younger pieces starting to mature. You got a lot, still got a lot of underclassmen who are working their way up. Just how nice has that been to have for the couple of years you've been at the head to have those younger guys?
It's super nice when you can rely on the younger guys. It just means the future's bright. I mean, I think KD right now is our leading scorer, probably averaging about 16, 17 points, and he's only a sophomore, but he's played in a lot of big-time athletic events, either in football or basketball games. He's competed at the regional track meet, and so when those guys do that at such a high level, and then you come back down to the next sport, they still want to compete at that level, and so they bring it night in and night out.
Yeah, and certainly KD is one of those guys who both football and basketball. I think track as well. You can only expect him to kind of continue to grow. And he was put into a big time situation in football as a quarterback, and he excelled to an all district accolades. Just how much has that transferred to the basketball court as far as what he's been able to do this year for you?
I think it's just his mentality of his I'm going to be in attack mode until you stop me, and those guys that are like that tend to be tough to guard because they just have that mindset. Sometimes we got to dial KD back a little bit because he does some forcing of some shots or some unforced errors, but you take some of those because of the positive impact that he has on the game.
Yeah, and you certainly also have some depth as well, particularly inside. We were talking about the other day with guys like Houston Hody and I think one other one kind of ready to go in at any given time. And it's been the same way with the backcourt as well, having different pieces to put in. Just how much of the success the last couple of years do you think has been driven by that, having a lot of guys who can step in for you?
Well, I think last year Houston had a big year on our JV as far as knowing his role. Houston knows he's not looking to shoot the ball. He comes up to me and goes after games, Coach, how did I play defensively? Like he knows that his role is to bang inside and rebound. You have guys like Tweet. They want to know what their role is. Grayson, he's a spot up shooter. He's got a rebound, plays defense. Drayton, I always week in, week out put Drayton on their best offensive player just because he's a defender. He's a defense first guy. And so when our guys know their role and what they're capable of, there's no everybody wants to be the chief. Everybody knows their role and knows what's expected of them. And so you don't have the mindset of it's my turn, it's me. And they play together, they play for each other, and they play for Burton.
Yeah. I mean, and how much of that is also kind of correlating back to everyone's buy-in after wins and things like that?
It's huge. I'm sure if we were 0-8 right now, we would be struggling trying to get them to buy in. But when you have success, people tend to, I'm okay with my 12 minutes and I'm shooting the ball 4 times and I'm scoring 6 points. I'm okay with that. Or I'm okay with my 6 minutes if I'm getting 4 rebounds and I'm doing my job as long as we're winning. And I think we over the past 5 or 6 years at Burton have had limited success that these guys we're having some success. And so it makes my job easier when the success comes with it.
Yeah, and of course, you want to mention the game against Allen Academy a little bit as well. You guys were able to just put the foot on the gas and kind of keep it that way. Just what was really working for you guys to get that 3rd win in a row?
Well, we started off with our pressure. We had a lot of ball pressure. We got some easy steals, and then when we backed it off, we were able to execute in the half court offensively and got a bunch of wide open looks. But it came with we had 17 assists. So you're sharing the ball. And so when we share the ball, you just can't key in on the ball. You have some teams that the ball goes through one guy and you know it's going through that one guy, and it allows you don't make the defense move. And so we make the defense move. All 5 guys have to play defense every possession.
Yeah. How about you guys defensively? Kind of the one thing that doesn't really show up on a simple box score. Just how well do you think you guys were kind of giving that defensive effort?
We're diving on the floor for loose balls. We're deflecting the ball. We're getting steals. We're getting easy transition points, and that's just an effort and an attitude. We tell our guys everybody can do the pretty work, but who's going to do the dirty work of hitting the floor for the loose ball? Normally, those teams that do that have a lot of success.
Yeah, and that's something you've mentioned to me before, is that the game has kind of turned into offensive minded, especially with the 3-pointer. Kind of know what Steph Curry's done for the sport of basketball, and making the 3-pointer really look flashy, fancy, whatever you want. But you also wanted that defensive effort to be a big focus for this group. I mean, it's just kind of when you look at the game of basketball overall, it's just how much do you think the defensive effort's almost kind of been lost in the shuffle a little bit?
I think it has. I mean, you have some coaches that preach it and do it, but I've been a part of organizations, or I've been on staffs where we spend more time practicing the offensive sets and offensive philosophy. We start practice every day with defensive philosophy and defensive stuff. And if we get the offense great, I believe if we get get steals and deflections and we get easy runouts, it takes care of itself. You're going to get points that way. And that starts with our junior high program all the way up to our high school program.
Yeah. How have you seen the junior high kids buy into that?
Last year we kind of started off a little rough with that junior high kid program, but they won 5 of their last 6, and this year they started off 3-0. So again, winning fixes a lot of things, and so kids are buying into the system. Coach Zorn right now is coaching our junior high basketball team, and he's doing a fantastic job with those guys.
Yeah, and I think you were there Monday to kind of see them in action. Just how bright is that future with those kids in tow?
Well, it's a big 8th grade class, and so our JV numbers were down this year because we had a small freshman class, but we have 13 8th graders that are playing junior high basketball right now, and if they stick with it, we're only going to graduate 4, so it's just going to get bigger.
Yeah, you have a lot of people to choose from at that rate. And just when you look back at last year, of course, one game short of making the playoffs. But was there a correlation to the defensive effort you guys were giving compared to the number of district ball games you were managing to pull out?
No, I think again, it goes to we play in one of the toughest districts. When you have Somerville, Mumford, last year we had Normandy, and then us and Snook were vying for that final playoff spot. I think it came down last year to our inability to knock down shots, and so that was a huge stamp on what we were doing this summer with our off-season kids, and over the summer of having to open gyms and letting kids just put shots up. And so so that is part of why we spend a whole lot of time, because we're starting to see kids knock down open shots for us. And so when you play defense as well as we do, plus you're able to knock down the shots, you're going to be in almost every ball game.
Yeah, and your district has expanded a little bit to bring the 7th team in, meaning if everything stays the course, you're going to need to win 6 ball games, if everything goes according to paper at least, to get into the playoffs. And just how big is that challenge going to be for your guys to be able to get what you need to finish top 4?
It's going to be a challenge. I mean, you still have Mumford and Somerville, and you picked up Hearn and Bremont, and then Snook is in Iola, and it's going to be tough. I told our guys we're still building. If we're in it at the end, great. If not, I want us again to be the best Burton team that we can be night in and night out. And I feel if we're that, then we're going to be in a lot of those district ball games. And who knows what happens at the end of those games if you're in them. You put some pressure on some people who aren't used to having that kind of pressure, and you never know what happens.
Yeah, of course, Somerville with Keith Crawford, we know what he brings to the table. Mumford seems to have pretty solid stuff regularly. Hearn and Bremont, the 2 newbies to the district. Just what do you anticipate they're going to bring to the district?
Hearn's going to be big and athletic. They always are. Last year they made a kind of a run in the 2A playoffs. Bremont is kind of the unknown for me. They're still playing football right now, so we haven't really got to see. We haven't seen them at all on the basketball court, and so you don't ever know. We start district play next Friday. They could be playing for a state championship next Thursday, and so they could be turning wheels like we've done in the past, and you just don't know what kind of teams you're going to get.
Yeah, and certainly a wild card situation that Burton was in a number of years ago. Not too far out in the past, of course. Just when you look at that kind of a situation, obviously with Bremont still kind of turning the wheels and still in the football, but I mean, Burton was in a similar spot not too long ago. Just when you look back at the progress that you've made at the helm of this program, just what do you think of one or two of the biggest things that has helped Burton kind of turn things around on the basketball floor?
I think it's support from everybody at Burton. I think they all to want to see every sport we have be successful, and so I've gotten all kinds of support from our superintendent, Ms. Curry, and our AD, Coach Hody, and they've kind of supported me in everything and every decision I make, and they back us, and so that has been huge from my success. That they're going to let me coach the way I coach, and they're going to let me do what I think is best for the team, and so that support is amazing and awesome to have.
Yeah, and of course, it wouldn't be possible without the senior leaders of the group. Of course, Tyrone Gilman last year, but you also have several others in this year's group. Just how important has it been for the seniors to buy into what you're doing, to get everyone else on the same page as well?
Yeah, our seniors, they may not be the most vocal, but they lead by their actions. And so Drayton and Dimitri have been on the varsity team since they were sophomores, so they've experienced, and I think some of them played some minutes as a freshman. They've experienced the lows, and so for them to experience the lows and come out of that valley, and we're not quite to the mountaintop, but we're on our way up there. It's easy to stay the course, and then you have guys like Grayson and Tony who are also buying into what we do, and so. We had the conversation on Friday. Winning fixes a lot of the issues, and winning is the ultimate motivator. And if you're winning ball games, guys are motivated to come to work. And so we kind of gave the guys today a day off after we're going to play 10 games in 7 days after this weekend. And I just felt like we needed a rest, and they were wanting to get back in the gym today, and I kind of had to shut them down just so. And so they want to work, and when you got guys that want to work, it makes coaching the sport really fun.
Yeah, and you get 5 of those over the next 3 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with games against Dimeboks and Onalaska on Thursday, and then Eastern Buckets and the third meeting against Round Top Carmine on Friday, and then the placing game on Saturday in Snook. Just what's going to be the biggest thing you look for over the next 3 days in those 5 ball games?
Well, we're going to play Onalaska, a bigger school. They've had a very rich basketball program over the years. I'm just looking for us to be competitive in those games. I want to see us take care of the ball, and I want to see the tenacity of defense that we bring night in and night out.
Yeah, and of course, Dimeboks, who you've already played, that's a revenge game for you guys to try and pick a win up there. And that being the first game of the tournament, you'll have the fresh legs to really work with. What's going to be the big thing of making that Dimeboks game into a win this time around for you guys?
We were shorthanded the first time we played them. We had some guys that were banged up from football that we kind of had sat for a couple weeks, and so we weren't at full strength. We're now at full strength. Really, in that game, it came down to we scored 3 points in the fourth quarter. We couldn't find the bucket, and so we kind of shored up our offensive philosophy and what we're going to do, and we're getting a lot better looks now. And I look for us to be in that game, and it's going to be competitive. I don't know if we've been beaten Dimeboks in the last 7 years or 7 games at the varsity level, and so it's coming over that hump again of hey, we want to win this game.
Another step for the program that would be, and that's an 11:40 a.m. estimated tip. Of course, tournament matchups, you never know how tournament schedules may go, but currently estimated for an 11:40 a.m. tip on Thursday in Snook. And we certainly thank you so much for taking the time to come in here. We certainly appreciate that very much. And before we wrap things up in the sports corner, I want to take the time to share some of the biggest headlines in our latest edition of the Banner Press. Of course, this is from our Tuesday edition, the Burton recap of that Round Top Carving tournament. You can have on our website, breadandbanner.com, and you can also catch up a little bit on what we've been talking about, the game against Allen Academy, as well as some Brenham basketball games as well. Brenham girls have already started their district schedule. Brenham boys still a couple games away from that, but took a loss to Bridgeland. That would certainly have some lessons there. On the news side of it, it's got some updated information on building permits for the month of November here in Brenham. A new judge in the Brenham Municipal Court and some legal counsel approved for your district, Burton ISD, over that bond project and some of the issues that were plaguing you guys initially before new contract, new construction company, and all of a sudden you guys get a football home game and everything's looking really, really bright. And of course, and also a feature on the new Brenham Police Department Assistant Chief looking to direct Brenham toward the future of technology. So all of that is in the latest edition of the Banner Press. Where are you going to get that local information that will matter to you? You can subscribe on our website, BrenhamBanner.com, or by calling 979-836-7956. Again, that is BrenhamBanner.com, and our phone number, 979-836-7956. 7956. You can call there, or you can subscribe, and our people here will take care of you. And again, we still want to let you know that there are more places to view the Banner Press Sports Corner and Banner Buzz. Our two Banner Press podcasts, our Spotify and Apple podcast pages are not going anywhere, but we also have a YouTube channel. You can search Banner Press on YouTube to subscribe to our channel. That's completely free, and those YouTube videos will also be linked on the Banner Press homepage on our website underneath the local sports tab. More places to meet you on your content needs than ever before on the podcast side. Again, thank you so much, Coach Honeycutt, for coming in this week. I've been Nicholas Hodel. Have a very good rest of your week, everyone.